Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1980 Detroit Tigers season replay. We are now at the midway point, and so today we're going to go ahead and do the standings recap and the halfway point leaders. Yesterday we played the All-Star game. As you can see here, it was 2-0, but it was a lot of fun. I worked in a lot of players for the American League. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but if you enjoy seeing the 1980 Topps baseball cards that I add to the video presentation, it was a lot of fun. I had to dig up a lot of players, and it was a nice walk down memory lane. And so, if you enjoy that, please take a look. I don't want to spoil what happened within the game, but I'll tell you that much. So. Otherwise, here we are. We're at the midway point. We haven't done a leaders recap since May, the end of May. So this is going to be a large amount of games between them. It's like maybe almost 40 games. So here's the standings for the American League East. We sit 6.5 games back of the Yankees. And you already know that the Baltimore Orioles own us. We're on a 4-game losing streak. And things are not looking too good. I'm planning on making some changes. I can't specify what they are because I need to do some research. But before I start the second half of the season, there will be some changes made. So Cleveland bringing up the last place, 27-60. That's bad, although they have beaten us a few games. But you'll see the batting averages over here. The home runs, we're third in the American League in home runs. You wouldn't know it by our offensive output lately. And then take a look at the American League West. The Angels on top by a half game. We have a couple good, chases here for the division titles. Even Kansas City is still in it. And I say that knowing that Kansas City actually won the American League West this season. So we'll see how that pans out. But still, really, 5 teams involved. Minnesota has been making all kinds of crazy trades. They're under 500, so I don't know if they're selling or buying by making all their trades. But they're doing what they can do to make it interesting. And, of course, we're finishing up with the Oakland A's. Let's take a look at the National League. And the Phillies are on top. And they're 55-32. In 80, they went to the World Series as well. So they're on track to do what they did in real life. St. Louis and Montreal are hanging in there. And the poor Cubs, 30 games out, they're 26-63. The Cubbies and the Indians are definitely bottom dwellers. And then the Astros are in first place, 4 games ahead of the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. And the Padres are hanging in there at 500. The Giants in Atlanta are already out of it. So that's really a look at the standings for both sides. Still a long way to go. Things can change. The trading deadline is coming up at the end of the month, so we'll probably see a flurry of trades. And I'm probably going to be one of those that are going to be, trying to take advantage of maybe a team that's falling out of the race. So we're going to go ahead and do the American League leaders. I did this video at the end of May. It ended up being longer than I expected, so I'm not going to dwell too much on any category, but we'll pull up some other categories just to make it interesting. So in batting average, Brian Doyle, the number 9 hitter in the Yankees lineup, is batting .343, and I believe it because he crushes us every time we play the Yankees. Dewey Evans, who was an all-star, is batting .338. We got Robin Yount, another all-star from this season, on the leaderboard. Wade Boggs, who is a rookie in this year that we're playing, but of course he wasn't an actual rookie until 1982, where he got a cup of coffee. with the Red Sox. But he's even at a young age, he's batting .333. We have Reggie Smith, who was an All-Star. Hargrove was an All-Star. Willie Mays Aikens was an All-Star. So a lot of the top players are listed here in batting average. We'll flip over here to the home run leaders, and there's Darrell Porter, which I did not realize when I was playing the All-Star game that he was the league leader in home runs. He was batting leadoff for that team. I can't imagine he'll keep that pace up. Reggie Smith, Dewey, DeCinces, Jim Rice, got Yaz in there. We got Eddie Murray, Robin Yount, and Oscar Gamble, Carney Lansford, and of course Barry Bonnell for us had 13 as well, but he is out for the season. So we have no leaders on any of these categories. So let's go ahead and continue with the hitters, and then we'll flip over to the pitchers. Let's take a look at the doubles leaders real quick. Rod Carew, 25. You would expect that from him. Slap hitter, probably hits down the line a little bit. Probably has enough to force it into the gap. So, well, here's an interesting one. Orlando Gonzalez. Who knows who that guy is? Let's take a quick look at him. I say quick, but it's taking a second to access it. So I apologize for that. You also see Wade Boggs and Willie Randolph, Chris Chambliss, Ron Hassey for Cleveland with 20 doubles. There's Orlando Gonzalez. So it looks like he was mostly a September call-up, maybe a couple cups of coffee. But on this Oakland A's team, he's getting some everyday playing time. No power at all. So 22 doubles, that's interesting. And he seems to have a good eye. He walks a lot. Okay, so that's a quick recap of that. And then you have La Grande Orange with Rusty Staub there in the top 10 for doubles. At any point, of course, you can just pause it and take a longer look at what I'm showing you. Let's take a look at the overall hit leaders. Oh, that's nice to see. We got 2 Tigers on that list. But Wade Boggs and George Brett tied overall. Of course, this is the season that George Brett batted .390 in real life. He took a run at 400 right down to the last 2 weeks of the season. And so no surprise to see him among the leaders, but he's only batting .314. Of course, he did barely qualify because he had some injuries that year. But so maybe since he's playing every day, maybe that's going to drive his overall batting average down in this game. So, but there's Sweet Lou. He's our leadoff hitter. He's got 99 hits. And Steve Kemp, who usually bats either third or fifth for us, has 96 hits. So it's good to see a couple Tigers on the hits list. Let's see who's been hit by pitch the most. A couple Tigers there too. Only 4 hit by pitches are leading the American League, and JT is one of them. Steve Kemp is on there too, and a bunch of random names there, I suppose. Kevin Bell, I know he had 1 year with the White Sox where he was decent, but I can't think of too many more. Who is getting intentionally walked the most? Jim Rice. I guess that makes sense on the Red Sox. They've traded away a couple of their major hitters, with Carlton Fisk going to my Tigers and with Dewey Evans going to Kansas City. So Jim Rice is probably getting pitched around quite a bit. And we're going to take a look. Let's see on-base percentage leaders. Sixto Lezcano with a .432. Johnny Grubb, he does walk a lot. And of course, Mike Hargrove, human rain delay. That guy takes a lot of pitches. And Reggie, you can expect that. Danny Goodwin did have a couple years in real life where he was awesome during this period, so maybe that's part of that. Outfield assists. Who's got the guns out in the outfield? There's Steve Kemp and Bob Baylor. Steve Kemp I knew would be on this list, and then Bob Baylor I just traded for, and I have to play him in center field, which is not his natural position, so he hasn't really come through much in that. I mean, Dwight Evans, we know he has a rifle. Freddie Lynn has got gold gloves. Chet Lemon is a great defensive outfielder. Bombo Rivera, I don't know much about that. Leon Brown, who's that? I don't know who that is. He's a 31-year-old rookie, really. It says his second season. But he's getting some everyday playing time in Kansas City right now, and apparently he plays pretty solid outfield. So there you go. There's the outfield assist leaders. And scrolling through. Oh, let's look at the RBIs. That's a great category. So Jim Rice and Darryl Porter are tied overall for the RBI lead. And look at that. Phil Gardner, who bats 8th in the Baltimore lineup, has 60. And he's definitely taken it to us. So, again, not all that surprised. Bruce Bochy of Seattle. That's interesting to see. Burrows bats cleanup. Hargrove bats 3rd. We haven't seen the White Sox yet. And then there's Sixto Lezcano. So yeah, a lot of the second half of the season is going to be against the American League West. So we're going to see a lot of players we haven't seen yet, which will be kind of fun. So here's the leader in runs, which is Bobby Grich. And then Willie Aikens, who has like 61 speed. So he must just be getting on base and scoring a lot. Sweet Lou at the top of the lineup. It's good to see. Julio Cruz for Seattle. That makes sense. And then you'll see a bunch of Hall of Famers. Well, I guess Dewey's not a Hall of Famer, but probably deserves some credit for being in the Hall of Fame. I could make an argument, I think. Let's take a look at, well, I guess we'll just click on the sack. Yeah. So Tom Brookins leads the league in sacks, which makes a lot of sense. He was terrible in the first half, so all I could do was have him lay down bunts. Sacrifice fly leaders is Rick Manning. He not only stole Dennis Eckersley's wife, but he also could drive in some runs with some fly balls. I'm not sure how those two things go together, but they're both facts. Let's take a look. Slugging, probably a lot of the same. Yeah, so nothing major there. Stolen bases. Let's take a look at stolen bases. Julio Cruz has 40 at the halfway point, and Ricky Henderson's just 1 behind him. Kim Allen, he was a part-time player for Seattle in real life, but he's getting everyday at-bats, and so he's got some stolen bases. Bob Baylor, again, just came over to Detroit. Joe Gates, I don't remember this guy at all, but he is now getting some at-bats for the Sox and putting up some stolen base numbers. There's Bump Wills, Maury Wills' son, runs in the family, and Bunbury. Dave Collins, of course, got some speed. That's interesting. Steal Success. So I don't know how many this is based on, but Trammell's in there. And looks like Ivan De Jesus and Jim Norris have not been caught yet, for what it's worth. Total bases. We have Barry Bonnell on there, but not for long. Like I said, he's done for the year. But Dewey's got the lead. Triples. Tim Allen's got 10 triples at the halfway point. We got to look at this. 12 doubles, 10 trips, and those 35 stolen bases, batting .307. How is that guy not on the All-Star team? But you'll see 4 Tigers, and that makes sense with Tiger Stadium having a 440 center field. So, yeah, it doesn't take much to get a triple there. Walks leaders. Joe Morgan, 56. Otto the Swatto, he's got 50 walks. And, of course, Mike Hargrove you expect to see on there. So, very interesting. So that's going to be it for the batters. Let's take a look at the pitchers real quick. So there's Bruce Keeson with his 2.61 ERA, and if you saw the game, I wasted almost a minute trying to figure out how to get Bruce Keeson into the game, but it wouldn't let me. So I don't know if that's a glitch in the game, or maybe we could have only accessed Keeson if we had expended all the other pitchers. But I tried to get him in the game, and it wouldn't let me. And he certainly deserved it, being 11-2. And, maybe we'll give Jim Palmer a run for the Cy Young. So there's Guidry, Coos, you got Dennis Leonard, Doc Medic, Rick Langford, Bannister, Halicki. There's Jim Palmer and Dave Steeb to round it out. And in wins, as we already talked about, Jim Palmer leads the American League in wins, followed by his teammate El Presidente, Dennis Martinez. There's Keeson, Rich Wortham. I did work him in. He had 1 inning of scoreless ball in the All-Star game. This son of a bitch, Frank Tanana, Jerry Kuzman, Francisco Barrios, Moose, Guidry, and Langford. So let's take a look at the extended categories here. Complete games. Jim Palmer, no surprise. He has 7. I believe John Tudor's a rookie. Nope, my bad. He's not a rookie. And most of the other names we've seen so far. So we're going to scoot past the complete games. We're going to look into what's next. Games pitched. Probably a lot of Tigers. Dave Tobick, wow. John Hiller, who I traded to Toronto, and he went right into their save role as a closer, and he's been good so far. So, sorry, just wanted to follow up on that. And then there's Eck, Rick Anderson on Seattle. There's Tippy, who's just been lights out against us. Mark Clear and Goose. So a lot of the names you expect. Let's see. Home runs allowed. I'm sure there's got to be a Tiger on there. No. Bill Paschal of Kansas City has given up 21. And Ross Baumgarten has given up the second most with 20. Innings pitched. Oh, there is a Tiger. Well, it's Rick Russell. And so he was on the Cubs. I traded for him, and he was on a 4-man rotation. So that's why he's among the leaders. But you won't find any other Tigers on there because I go with a 5-man rotation to try to keep the injuries down, the injury potential. None of this really interests me. If any of these categories interest you, just let me know, and I'll make sure I cover them. So Ron Guidry with a quality start. With 15 is Bruce Keeson. Again, these are all the names that you saw in the All-Star game yesterday. Defensively, runners thrown out. Who's thrown out the most? Lance Parrish is on there with 21. And Ernie Witt leads overall. Jim Sundberg, he's probably the best defensive catcher of this era. And Charlie Moore. Charlie Moore was a great defensive catcher. Not much known for his hitting. So we're going to skip past those. Let's take a look at the saves leaders. So it's a 3-way tie for Tippy, Senior, Smoke, and Goose with 19. And then Mark Esser for the White Sox. Who's that? This guy comes out of nowhere. Never heard of him. With a 1 ERA and 10 saves. That dude is lights out. And somehow he must have taken the rollover from Dewey Robinson. So that's fascinating. 20 saves among the two of them. So, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, moving on. Taking a look at the shutout leaders. The Coos, Jesse Jefferson. All right. And Dennis Leonard, keep in mind, he's the only no-hitter of the first half. Strikeouts. Oh, this is hitters' strikeout. Oh, this is hitters' strikeouts. I should have covered that. Carl Pagel leading by a lot. Strikeouts pitched. Floyd Bannister, overall leader at 107. There's Jerry Kuzman right there behind him. Jack Morris is on that list with 85. And other than Doug Rao for California, a lot of typical names. Ks per 9, though. So this is a whole different era of baseball, right? I mean, everyone tried to put the bat on the ball back then. So the Ks per 9 is not in the 9 to 11 range that you'll find these days. And that's what's expected these days. You see a lot of big names on here, but 7 Ks per 9 just would never get it done these days. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's all we really need to look at for the American League. And then National League, we'll just kind of peruse it real quick. So Warren Cromartie is leading with 360. He was in the All-Star game. Keith Drumright for the last place Cubbies. He was in the All-Star game. So was Richard Stargell. There's Pete Rose on the Dodgers, of course, batting 317. Kenny Landreau, who got traded over to the Dodgers from Minnesota. Ellis Valentine, Dave Parker, Manny Trio, and Rennie Stinnett. So everybody in the top 10 is batting over 300. That's good to see. The National League home run leader is Mike Cubbage. He was traded over to St. Louis from Minnesota, as Minnesota's just been wheeling and dealing. So that's kind of amazing. Joe Nolan, really a career backup catcher for Atlanta, is right up there. Michael Jack Schmidt, you expect him. You expect to see Dave Parker, of course, Winfield, and Darrell Evans, who at one point was the oldest player to ever hit 40 home runs. And so, yeah, I mean, not Dane Orr, just a middle infielder. I don't understand how he's... So a lot of this is going to change, I think, in the next half of the season. So ERA leaders, Hector Eduardo. So if you don't know Hector Eduardo, there's no reason that you should. He was actually a Mexican League player for many, many years, and he did get signed to the Cardinals. And I don't know if he ever really made any appearances in the major leagues, but he was on this game and he did make it. And look at this. I mean, this guy he has been lights out, and his numbers, his ratings are really, really high. So it'll be curious to see if he can keep this pace up. A 1.88 ERA and a 177 opponent's batting average. So this guy is the real deal in this game. There's Lefty Carlton, there's Nolan Ryan, J.R. Richard, Tom Seaver, and there's Phil Niekro. So a lot of great... Craig Swan actually won an ERA lead or 1 year. I forget what year it was, maybe 82. And with wins, it's Steve Rogers at 13, and then Nolan and Carlton's right behind him. Gary Hannas of the Dodgers. Who the hell's that? So this guy is a career cup of coffee guy, and looks like he's getting everyday starts for the Dodgers and putting up some decent numbers. So good for him. That's the fun thing for me about this game, is having some of these players who maybe didn't get a real opportunity because of the players that were in front of them. That's kind of fascinating. They get a chance in this game to kind of live out what their career could have been. I don't really want to see a whole lot of other things for the National League, but I do want to look at the steals lead, because these guys steal over here in the National League. There's Richards, Reedus, Ron LaFleur, former Tiger. There's the Wizard of Oz, Cesar Cedeno. There's Gary Weiss, who was in the All-Star game. That guy had a really good All-Star game. LaRue Washington, who was UL Washington's brother. Jack Bercanti, Terry Poole, and Bill North. So, okay. Well, so that's basically what I wanted to take a look at and show you guys. We have the next half of the season to go. There's a lot to look forward to. I'm still in the race, which is exciting, but I am struggling. And hopefully when we get to play a lot of the National League West teams, we can make up some ground. But we're going to have to make some trades. I probably need another starting pitcher at this point. And I definitely need to have a center fielder. Bob Baylor is not going to cut it. He's really a fourth outfielder at best. And so we're going to get started with the next game tomorrow. We're going to be in Milwaukee at County Stadium. And then we're going to go back home to face the Oakland Athletics. So that's what's on the board for the next couple weeks. And I hope you guys come back and watch. I appreciate everyone who's been following along, please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content. And don't forget, I also do baseball card break videos. I have 2 contests going on right now. One where I'm going to give away a rack pack of 1982 Topps baseball. And also a video where we're going to be giving away some 1989 Fleer, looking for the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. So there you go. That's everything that's going on. And until tomorrow, everyone have a great night.